You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
America just set itself on fire as it descends further into chaos. Expert based on an article by Alex Henderson. The breakage was not mysterious. Power wrote the damage. Stephen Marche's July 4 op-ed uses the language of national collapse, but the facts in the piece point to something much less mystical. People with institutional power are making choices, and those choices are reshaping the country on purpose. Trump is not an accident. Florida and Texas writing school curricula are not side effects. Originalists hollowing out constitutional meaning are not confused observers. They are actors with authority, and they are using it. Collapse is a cover story. The op-ed gestures toward a long arc of decline running from 1776 through Reconstruction, 1980, 2008, and now Trump. That sweep has a certain appeal because it makes disaster feel historic instead of political. But history is not an alibi. A story about centuries of drift can blur the immediate responsibility of the people currently holding office, setting policy, and controlling institutions. That is not analysis. It is haze. The right knows what it is doing. The clearest examples in the source are not abstract. Protesters tore down statues. Florida and Texas responded by rewriting school curricula to push more conservative views of the revolution. The point is not that the country is confused about its origins. The point is that conservative power is actively seizing a narrative, then laundering that seizure as restoring history. This is not mere cultural disagreement. It is state-backed memory management. Originalism as institutional vandalism. Marche's line about originalists making the Constitution increasingly meaningless is the most useful sentence in the piece because it identifies the fraud at the center of the project. Originalism presents itself as reverence. In practice, it often functions as demolition dressed up as fidelity. The name suggests restraint. The result is permission. That is how anti-democratic actors use law, not by openly rejecting the system, but by claiming exclusive ownership of its oldest symbols while emptying them out. The target is legitimacy. The statues, the curricula, the memorials, the Constitution itself, these are not random objects. They are legitimacy machinery. Control the story of the founding, control what counts as inheritance, control who gets to claim the republic. That is why the political right keeps returning to these sites of memory. It is not because they are nostalgic. It is because they understand that power survives by narrating itself as destiny. The systemic lesson. A deeper pattern here is not simply American decline. It is elite destruction followed by historical mist. When institutions are captured, weakened, or repurposed by anti-democratic actors, the public is offered a grand tragedy instead of a ledger of decisions. That substitution helps the guilty disappear into atmosphere. The work of democratic politics is not to romanticize collapse. It is to name who is doing the breaking, who benefits from the wreckage, and which institutions are being used to make that wreckage look inevitable. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternate for today's article. With the automated voice of Kristen, thanks for listening.